Well, hello there, everyone. It's Freddie Mac, your ham radio crusader, and we're here to talk some more about Skywarn Plus. I've been researching a couple more of the features that I haven't covered yet, and we thought we'd just go over them today because I'm telling you what, they're really cool. One of them, or the first one that we'll talk about today, is the CW voice IDs that come as a feature on Skywarn Plus. Skywarn Plus has a feature that allows it to automatically change the node ID based on the status of certain weather alerts. This requires the creation of custom audio files for the normal and WX ID modes. The configuration is in the config.yaml file with additional setup that's needed in the rpt.conf file. Let's take a look at how it's done. And I'll cover that with you, but the first thing we need to do is customize a couple of recorded IDs. So we have to make a change in the rpt.conf file. So it's going to change it from auto-generated Morse code ID into the voice ID, but you can make that voice a recorded file of Morse code, which is what I did because I like Morse code for mine instead of the voice ID. So before we can do that, I've got to basically show you how to make a good audio file because it has to be in a certain format before it will play inside a HamVoip. So let's get to that now. Okay, so this is Audacity, Audacity. It's a free program you can get for a Mac, you can get for Windows, for Linux, and it's a little bit getting used to at first, but it's not so bad. Go to your audio setup and make sure that your playback device is on the one that you're on and the recording device is to the microphone that you want. But the first thing we want to do is auto-generate a Morse code ID for our AllStar node. So let's jump into that real quick. So this is just one of many sites that you can use. This is morsecode.world. And you can come right here into the input window and put in your call sign /L for link or /R for repeater, depending on which kind of device your AllStar node is set up on. And you can control the rate of the Morse code that you're going to output and the pitch and the volume. I'm actually going to bring this volume down a little bit because it's pretty sharp. And then you can play it to test what it sounds like. Listen, okay, we can try it at 20 characters per second. I like it just somewhere in between 20 and 25. Once we've got that figured out, as long as you've got just sound highlighted, you can download it. And I like to call it something that I know. And I'll save it in this folder here. Now it comes down as an uncompressed WAV file, which is great because we're going to make some definite changes inside Audacity. Okay, so we're back in Audacity, and we need to do some preset configuration here before we get started. So let's go to let's go to the Audacity if you're in a Mac. But you want to find the preferences. And then get to quality, and I like to set them both, the real-time conversion and the high-quality conversion. I like to set them both to low-quality fastest and the dither to none. So just keep that in mind. So now you can open up your file, the one we just made, and we can play it. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So it still sounds a little loud to me, so I want to bring the gain down just a little bit for myself, personal preference, and just try to make it a little bit more tolerable. Oh yeah, I like that one just fine. Okay, and you'll notice right here, it's a mono channel, and it's at 800 hertz or 8,000 hertz and a 16-bit PCM. These are the requirements for an audio file to play inside of HamVoip. So you want to make sure that it stays that way. Before we export the file, we've got to normalize it. So let's double click and select all the audio, go to Effect, and to Normalize. And in the normalize area, you want to make sure remove DC offset, center at 0.0 vertically, is checked. Normalize peak amplitude to minus 6.0 dB. Make sure it is checked and hit apply. This kind of gets it at a tolerable level to play inside a HamVoip. Makes it a little less sharp, as it were. So we're going to go to File, Export Audio. That's our file name. Make sure file type is Other Uncompressed Files. The header is raw, which makes it headerless. And the encoding is set at ULAW. And we're going to hit Save. Replace it because I already have one there by that name. And then hit OK. Now, we can go to the end of this file and get our head tracker there. And we're going to record just a quick little something here. And this is what I like to put. You can put whatever you want, if anything at all. Weather alert. Okay, now that we've recorded that little section at the end, we can actually come through here and listen to it.
Weather alert.
And it's kind of low, so I'm actually going to highlight the entire segment, go to go to Effect, Amplify, and just bump it up a little bit. And there we go. Let's listen to it again.
Weather alert.
That's much better. We can highlight all of that now and Effect and normalize it at minus 6 dB. Kind of brings it all into one sustainable region.
Weather alert.
So that's not so bad. So now we can take all of that and export it just the way we did the other one. And I'll give that a -1 so I'll know the difference between the two. Once again, file type is Other Uncompressed Files, header is raw, encoding is ULAW, and save and hit OK. So now all we've got to do is copy them over to our AllStar node. So here we are back at FileZilla, and we've connected into our trainer AllStar node here. And we're at the root, I believe. Yes, now we need to go to User, Local, Bin, Skywarn Plus, Sounds, and ID. There may not be anything here in this file when you first start, and you may have to create that subdirectory of ID. And I'll show you here in a minute inside of the config.yaml file about the path. But you've got to have 3 files. normalid.ulaw, rpt.id.ulaw, and wxid.ulaw. And what this is the ID that will run whenever there's no weather alerts enacted. And that will be just the Morse code recording of your call sign /L or /R. The WXID will be the recording of that same file, but we added on the weather alert at the end. So it's actually a separate file saying almost the same thing, plus a little extra. rpt.id initially will be a duplicate of the normal ID, but what Skywarn Plus does whenever a weather alert is enacted, it overwrites this file with this file. It takes WXID and copies it, but renames it rpt.id. So during the duration of that weather alert, your ID will play the Morse code recording plus the words weather alert at the end, or whatever you choose to put there. Once the alert goes away, the watch or warning or advisory expires, and the National Weather Service clears it, then Skywarn Plus is going to come in here and take this normal ID and copy it into the rpt.id file, rename it to that, and now back to normal again where it's just playing the CWID. So we made these two files here just a few minutes ago. And what we do is copy them over to your AllStar node. And we'll delete these just for measure. This is the regular one that plays just the Morse code ID. So we're going to rename it into normalid.ulaw. You notice it did say raw before, but we're changing the suffix to ulaw. And we're going to take this one and rename it to wxid.ulaw. And we want the first part of the file to be in uppercase and the last part, the suffix after the dot, to be in lowercase. But where's the RPT ID, you ask? Well, we'll just take this first one again, copy it over here, and we'll rename it rpt.id.ulaw. Hit enter, and now we have our three files. Then we can disconnect from the node, and we'll go into our config.yaml file. So we're back into our SSH session. We're going to hit number 9 for that bash shell interface. Hit enter. And we're going to make sure that we're in that Skywarn Plus directory. But let's say if you're not. Here's what you would do. cd space user local bin Skywarn Plus, and then we're back in there again. Then we're going to hit nano config.yaml, hit enter, and then we're going to scroll down till we get to the ID change stanza. ID change, you can see there here at the top, it says configuration for the automatic ID changing requires initial setup in the rpt.conf file and manual creation of audio files. But we've already created those audio files. That's where we started. So enable has to be equal true. And if you want to specify an alternate location for the ID files, you can do that here. But I'm leaving this at the default. You can also change the name of the files here if you want to, but I like using the default because it's just less confusing. And now you have here a list of watches and warnings and advisories that will trigger this ID change. And I've went in here and added heat advisory because we've been having a lot of those lately, and it really helps me test this thing out without having to use the inject. So now that you've came in here and you've changed this to true, you're going to Control X, yes to save, and then enter to exit, but I didn't make any changes, so I didn't have to do any of that. So I don't know if you're in Supermon or Supermon 2, but I'll show you in both. Once you're logged in, I've got this current heat advisory going here. And this is Supermon 2 showing the heat advisory here. Now I can go to Control if I want to, force our local ID so you can see what it sounds like when there's a weather alert enabled.
Weather alert.
Create these computer generated county names or county sound files, for lack of a better word. Well, you know, we've talked before about VoiceRSS.org. You can get a free account there and create up to 300, I think it is, auto-generated phrases or words or whatever you put in there a day. you're going to want to copy this line, but you want to put your API key here from VoiceRSS.org and your county name here. And what I do, I just don't put Okmulgee or Tulsa or Creek. I'll put the word county behind that. And it just so happens I need to create one called Wagoner County. So I've typed that whole line in, which you can't see right now. I've typed that whole, or copy and pasted that whole line in there, and behind there at the end where it says equals, I put Wagoner County, W-A-G-O-N-E-R space C-O-U-N-T-Y, and this is what pops up. You can play it.
Wagoner County.
And I've got my sound file, so I can hit these three dots here, download it, and then I'll give it a name. And I can put it right there and leave it in the WAV file, because in these parameters from this download file, it's already making it an 8 kilohertz 16-bit mono-channel file, which is exactly what we want to play it inside of HamVoip. So, where do we put these files? Well, it tells us right here in the root of the sounds directory. Okay, so now we're back in FileZilla, and we're connected to our node, and we're in the Skywarn Plus directory, and we have a subdirectory here of sounds. And then you've got alerts, IDs, and tones directory, but we're just going to put these county recordings right here in that root of sounds, which is where they want it. So here is Wagoner County. We'll drag it over, and we're going to leave them all in the WAV format, and they'll play just fine. So we'll disconnect from here. And it's already listed in our config file. So we can Control X and don't have to save it because we didn't make any changes. Okay, as was said before, there is some rpt.conf setup that we've got to do. So we've got to get into our rpt.conf file and look under our node number, and we're going to look for this phrase right here and add this line, because we've got to change the way it looks for the ID recording to play whenever it needs it. So let's jump over there and take a look. Okay, we're back in FileZilla, and we're at the root of our AllStar node, and we're going to go to Etsy and then asterisk, and then we're going to find the rpt.conf file. Right click and view edit. We're going to edit it. We're not going to open this old one. We're going to get a brand new one, and let's make those letters a little bigger. So as you know, I like to use this find feature, and we want to go down to ID recording. Let's look for that. Well, if we can get back to the right thing here, let's go to ID recording, hit enter, and looks like there's 6 entries. And I'm just going to stop right there because these are commented out already. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this one here was our default. It was an ID recording because I was doing the Morse code ID, CW ID, that AllStar would generate. So I commented that line out, and I added ID recording equals /USR/local/bin /Skywarn Plus /sounds /ID /RPT ID. I added this line here. That lets AllStar know, or asterisk, it lets it know where that RPT ID file is going to be, and it will play it accordingly. There's some similar entries in here, but these are commented out so they won't be used. So this will be the function that's used, and that's the only line in rpt.conf you've got to change. So make sure that you save it, exit out, hit yes, and you're good to go. Now it's at this point where I always like to restart asterisk. You can do it here at the command line, asterisk.sh.
Weather alert.
Or you can go back to your main menu, number 13, and restart the asterisk server and hit yes to confirm.
Weather alert.
And it'll do it there as well. So once the weather alert goes off, that CW ID will not say weather alert at the end. So we're going to reboot the whole server and let you hear what it sounds like upon reboot, as if it were issuing these alerts at the onset.
Weather alert.
IP address 192.168.1.205. Updated local information. Heat advisory.
Okmulgee County, Tulsa County, Okfuskee County, McIntosh County, Muskogee County, Creek County, Wagoner County.
And there you have it. Skywarn Plus is a wonderful little thing. Let me tell you what. That is a nifty little feature to have, and as the tornado watches, tornado warnings, thunderstorm watches, flood warnings, whatever, as they roll in and they affect your counties that's in your list, or just if you have the one county in your list, it will sound them out if you have it set up in this manner. Does that help everyone out? Hey, maybe not, but I like to know what's going on around me. Most of those counties you just heard are surrounding counties to me. So it kind of gives me an idea of who's affected by what. Because when a severe thunderstorm can be rolling through, it doesn't always just affect all those counties. It could be just portions of those counties. So it gives me a better idea of what's going on around me. Well, I hope I've covered everything you need to know on Skywarn Plus as far as this particular set of features that has come along. The CW voice IDs are very handy in my opinion, and you can also alter them. You don't have to put words behind them. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. Some people will just make something custom that they want to hear. Having the ability to put these county identifiers in there is just amazing. How to use it? To use the county-specific audio tags, you need to specify the audio files to use for each county in your config.yaml file. You must create or otherwise acquire these audio files yourself. The audio files must be located in the root Skywarn Plus /sounds directory. The config.yaml file explains how to use the free VoiceRSS.api, which we covered. And it's all right here if you want to do multiple counties, multiple areas, what have you. And once you're trying to install all this, if you don't have an active alert going on, you can go down into the bottom of your config.yaml file and turn on that inject and change false to true. It'll inject a tornado warning, tornado watch, and a severe thunderstorm warning. And you can see if everything's working appropriately. Well, I hope everyone gets something out of this video and this nice little feature addition to Skywarn Plus. At the time of this video, it is at version 0.4.0, and Mason Nelson has done an incredible job, and he just keeps working on it and making it better every day. So don't forget to also check out the readme.md file. There's a lot of good information in there about Skywarn Plus. And there'll be more videos to come, I'm sure, as these features get richer and richer. There's another Sky Control segment that I want to cover, but I've got to get a little more specific with what I want to cover as far as that's concerned. So thanks for watching, everyone. This is Freddie Mac, K85FMU, your ham radio crusader, hoping all the good signals to be yours. Wishing you 7 threes. Ham on, y'all.